We're joined by Leon Sinberg and Jonathan Ferry, both from Key Digital. Leon, are you there?
I'm here, guys.
Perfect. Well, Leon, I'm going to have you jump right in.
Thank you, Chris, for the introduction, and thank you, everyone, for attending. Today, we're going to be talking about AV over IP. Let's just jump into some of the nicer slides. So I've been doing this for, well over a decade, and I remember the debates we've had on, compressed, uncompressed, and, what's the image quality, what's the latency, what's the downside. I want to say that AV over IP has totally revolutionized this industry. The flexibility of the system, the fact that you can do up to 256 sources or displays. This is really a revolutionary technology. We've been already rock solid with it for years. It's opened up a lot of vertical markets, and we're going to dig into some of the benefits we can do with 4K over IP. Now, before we get into the technical side, I want to talk about really quickly the sales side of this, because what I found in my experience is that a lot of the big customers out there on the commercial side, in the past invested, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million in massive matrix systems with the old matrix switchers. Then they come back and they say, well, what if I have to add one more source, right? What if I have to add one more display? And then they come back, and this is mainly from some of our competitors. They come back and they say to the installer, they say, well, what do? Do I scrap all this equipment that I invested in? And the unfortunate answer to that has been yes, but many of the people who have used Key Digital have had a heads up, because with AV over IP, you're also talking about expandability. You're talking about, 2 years from now, they want to do another 3 rooms, so you just add a few more encoders or decoders on the project, and there you go. So, we've been kind of pushing this now for years, and many of those that have gone with it have been satisfied. And those that have to upgrade their system eventually decide, you know what, let me go AV over IP, because you never know when you need that expandability. And instead of, buying a new 56 by 56 matrix switcher, you can now just add a few more components, and you're talking about a relatively low price point for upgrading. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit. So what we do here at Key Digital is we pre-configure these for you. We can do it in one of 2 ways. We can either have it customized, meaning you already have a system in place, and it's tagged onto a overarching IP network, and you want to make sure that there's no conflicts with other computer or AV sources on the network. So we'll go ahead and we'll configure it for you. Or in a vast majority of cases, these systems go in fresh. They go into a new sports bar, they go into a new lobby, they go into a new heavy commercial building, or whatever job you might have. In that case, especially in the event that these units should be stocked, we can also ship them under default configurations. But you need to understand that if you do put it into a default, it has to be a completely fresh and closed network system, which actually is the case most of the time. So we're going to talk about at the end of the slideshow also our kits that will come pre-configured for that. But again, if you need the customization, we do that in-house. This gentleman on the top right, his name is Mark. He helps out with that. He does a great job. So we're very grateful for that. So, either customized or it can come in fresh. And then if it comes in fresh, you see the IP scheme here that we have, the 192168, one basic configuration. That is more or less the default. So we always keep all the records of IP addresses. So if you come back 5 years from now and say, remember that 15,000 square foot mansion we did? The guy wants another, 16 TVs, So we pull up the file. As long as everything's documented, we make sure that we're able to add on to any other existing systems that you have. So we have a whole database of these, and we do the heavy lifting for you on it. And by the way, guys, if you want to interrupt me, please feel free to do so. I like conversational presentations, but if you want me to talk, I can talk too. That's why they pay me the big bucks to talk a lot. So some of our partners include, so here's one of the important things. In order to use this system, we require that you use one of our verified network switches. Why? Because even though you may put in a network switch that hasn't been verified for us, and you know what, it may even work, but 2 years, 3 years down the line, if there's a problem, we highly, highly recommend you go with one of our verified network switches. With these, we'll guarantee a very long duration performance on these systems that will go 3, 4, 5+ years. So, please, when you spec these out, take a look at our verified network switch list, and we'll include one of these verified network switches when we talk about the kits. Okay, so if any one of you now want to download either the Compass Control app or KD app on the App Store, you can actually go to demo mode and you could see what we're talking about here. It's a very user-friendly GUI that's automatically populated, especially on the KD app. And basically what you're looking at here is one of my other slide presentations had a video of this. But as you can see, you can just take your finger, drag the source to how you want the display to look, and the AVoIP system will automatically, quote unquote, adjust the aspect ratio of the entire video wall. So here we have basically 3 subset video walls that are 2 by 2. And then we have like a mix and match in the bottom right corner that demonstrates kind of a hodgepodge. It will allow you to do any configuration on the video wall as long as it's symmetric. So you can't go like Tetris shapes with it, but other than that, as long as it's symmetric, one popular configuration we did for casinos, for example, is you would have one source be like a flat horizontal line on the bottom, which would be like an odds ticker or like a CNN or Fox News type of ticker on the bottom. So really, the sky is the limit. We'll also talk about how we can mosaic these things later on. So we can actually do very artful for corporate lobbies and things like that. Some of these slides I'm going to go through a little fast because I know we have a lot to get through and I want to cover all the materials on it. You can configure these manually. So if you do just buy them, we can do that, but we do highly recommend that you let us do that in-house to save you time. But if you do need to pre-configure these on your own, our KD-MS Pro software allows for that. What we recommend you do is we recommend you do a small training on this so that you're able to do this on your own. But again, we would just configure them in-house and then label them. So you would know this is source 1, 2, 3, this is display 1, 2, 3, and you would just go on from there. Okay, we're gonna first talk about the 922 and 822 series of these. Because the 922 and 822 can be mixed and matched. This cannot happen with the 1022, but it can happen with the 822. What's the primary difference between the KD-IP1022 and KD-IP822? The 822 has 1 control port. The 922 has 3. So it really depends on how many external devices you want to control on your AVoIP system. If you want to start adding things like lights, shades, security, TV control. The 822 does a good job if you're a one-to-one source configuration. So if you have, every encoder and decoder is responsible for one source and one display, you'll get one IR or RS-232 port through the Phoenix connector. If you need more than that, then you can go with the 922. And then if you need even more control ports, you can then add on our master controllers as well. If you need a MC1000, if you want to add 8 more control ports. All of the various adapter cables that go from Phoenix to either IR or RS-232 are included in the box. So again, you decide. One of the differences we'll get to between the IP922, 822, and then 1022 is also with the 922, 822 system, it's important to keep in mind that the audio and video travel together. When we get to the other ones, the audio and video can be separated. So essentially, if you go with the 1022 system, you'll be able to get an independent audio matrix and video matrix on one matrix. So it's almost like getting 2 matrix systems in one. The plural of matrix, I think, is matrices. I'm not sure. I was just thinking about that a second ago. Let me just stop right here for a second. And if you guys are reading the technical specs, see if you have any questions at this time.
Leon. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, at this point, we haven't seen any questions come in yet.
Okay.
But Jonathan, you had something to say?
Yeah, I was just going to chime in, and contribute that, we've had the 922s in the market for 5.5 years now. And when we introduce those, as you'll see maybe in the upcoming slides, they are just fully loaded. And as more and more people adapted to adopted our system as their go-to system for AV over IP, so the product line grew. One of the common feedbacks was, if we could just get this cost a little lower by reducing the connectivity options, that would be make our system more competitive. And that's where the 822s came in 1.5 years ago now. So it's, they're fully mix and match. You could use them in the same system. And, if you don't need USB or audio de-embedding, you could use an 822 in place of a 922 and reduce the cost. And that's really helped us to become very, very powerful system at a great price point. And that's all I'll add in there, Leon.
I appreciate that. If we have time at the end, we can also dig a little bit into the compression side of the technology. On one hand, I mentioned at the beginning that the debate is over, meaning, the comfort level our installers have had with AV over IP in terms of compression and latency and things like that, has been bar none in the market. But if we do have time in the end, I do have some charts on the JPEG 2000 motion compression technology. We could talk about that and how our product competes even with some competitors out there that are 3 or 4 times the price, and take a look at what distances we can handle, what latency, what's the time to switch, things like that. So if we have time, I'll get a little bit into the compression side. That's really a lot of that is the meat of where the background of our company really does come from, is compression. We've learned early on, and even in the beginning of our company when we were switching, and even the industry, when the industry was switching from analog to video, to digital, away from component, let's say, to HDMI, one of the keys in the compression was, unlike analog that degrades and gets staticky, with digital, it either works or it doesn't. So we have what Jonathan coined at one point, open eye HDMI, meaning the constant experience we've been learning with compression, which has really been our expertise for more than a decade, has been to make sure that HDMI eye wall stays open. So, we've pioneered, we were one of the first in the market to do 75-foot HDMI cables, then 150-foot HDMI cables. Then we went optical. A lot of that had to do with our knowledge of the compression side of digital video. Then we took it to the AV over IP side. So in terms of the experience that we have on this, and keep in mind, again, these systems are full 10G. So, you know, the compression, you know, technically speaking, it's not 18G, but with our experience in compression, in terms of quality and all the other factors you're looking for in a professional install, you can rest assured that, especially our president, Mike Sinberg, this has been his area of expertise for more than a decade in terms of compression. So, you know, compression, that's where the debate happened, but, you know, that's really where our experience comes in. And there's a lot of clever ways to do it. Maybe one day we can get Mike on this and he could talk about it even more. But that also comes from back in the days of original high definition TV, is how do I get terrestrial signal to show me 1080i, right? That also had to do with compression. So that really is where we're coming from. So when you're talking about AV over IP and you're talking about the key to key digital, you're talking about compression. So if we have time at the end, we'll get into that a little more. And maybe I need to compress the presentation because I know I don't have that much time. So we don't really need to get too much into this, guys. You could definitely check out the technical specifications of the IP1022. I just want to highlight a few key benefits here. You have a pass-through mirrored HDMI here, so that if you have a local display, especially near the rack as you're configuring these things, you could check out what each unit is doing. You have multiple LAN ports and multiple USB ports. So these days you have a lot of need for data transmission that coincides with AV over IP. I'll give you an example. So two things. Number one, the USB side of it is really designed for KVM. It's not designed for use with our KD-CAM USB. That's an important thing to keep in mind, because intuitively you might think, oh, I could pop in the KD-CAM USB over the signal. This USB can handle, I think it's 500 something kilobits per second, 512. So it's not really designed for video, but what it is designed for is KVM. So for example, if you do a video wall and you want to overlay the video wall with a touch screen, you can put each touch screen into each AV over IP unit, and then you can have a video wall touch screen. So just imagine how cool that is. If you walk into the lobby and you have a, you know, a 3x3 video wall, and then, you know, they want to touch directions or a directory from the middle screen of that 9 TV video wall. The AV over IP system, through the USB side of it, will also understand that, you know, I'm pointing to this particular piece of data. So essentially the same scalability it does with video, it's going to do with the data as well. Okay, there's a lot of slides here. So like I said, you have the local monitor and the HDMI source. I want to get to some of the newer stuff here too. All right, on the audio side, so we do have a standalone product that the KD-Fix 418A, in case you're in one of these situations where you need to de-embed the audio or fix some of your HDMI issues. That's a very popular product. Some of that very same technology is built into our AV over IP. So you do get an audio de-embed feature, and it essentially acts as a bit of a preamp. So you get balanced, unbalanced audio, analog, and all the audio features out of that Phoenix connector. And again, all the cables you need to adapt from your Phoenix connector to whatever your audio comes inside the box here as well. Okay, you also do get, like I said, the preamp control. So you get all the basic controls there, you know, treble, bass, mute, volume, preamp. So if you ever integrate this again with our Compass Control or KD-IP software, you're able to also use this system to do preamp type of control. And it also pairs very well, you know, like Pinot, let's say, with a nice cheese. this would pair well with our KD-IP1022 as well. And we'll get into that in a second, especially for a conference room type of setup. Oh, there it is. So you can take the audio out, you can put it into our KD-IP1022, and then again, under one roof, if you keep the control system with us as well, then you'll also be able to control the volume on this as well. That goes directly into the speakers. You know, this little product here, the AMP220, it's not, you know, it's not something that's going to power a concert hall. But in terms of what it's able to do in a conference room, believe it or not, I invite you guys to try it out because, you know, the thing really can rock it out, you know, not in a huge room, but it's a very comfortable product, especially if you're integrating it with all other key digital products as a great solution for you as well. Okay. All right, I think we've covered the KVM side of it here, but keep in mind also that KVM now means a lot of other data transmission. So, you know, as things constantly evolve and third parties constantly create new types of hardware and software, and we really don't know what's going to happen in the next few years, the overall skeleton of the system, meaning the routing behind any source to any display, will include in the future some sort of back and forth data transmitters. So that's another really nice feature about this is since you already have the Cat6 cables there, you know, if you have data transmission back and forth, it could be a keyboard video KVM type of application, but it could be other types of data transmissions that we don't even know of yet. As this industry evolves, if you're gonna have new sources out there that are gonna require a back and forth data line, you're still gonna have that with this. So that's gonna make your customer very happy, especially in the next few years, seeing what they are. Right now, I know touch screens are very popular, but you never know what you could put in through the back and forth data side of this. Okay, so it can be used as a matrix switcher. It can be used as a video wall. You can put sub video walls on it. 16 by 16, my understanding is the limitation for the 922/822 mix. But if you do want to step it up into the higher grade, it can handle up to 256 sources or displays, meaning one source to 255, two sources to 254. But on the 16 by 16 configuration, you know, if you're using our KD app or you want a simple control system, then 16 by 16, you're guaranteed to have a smooth integration at the onset. There's a point here talking about screen rotation. I'm going to get into that in a second. It's a very important feature. Okay, so what's important to understand also is that our system does plug and play with any third-party control system as well. I always like to say, go ahead and try Compass Control. I know that it's a little bit, sometimes a little cumbersome to learn. I've been told, I'm not a programmer myself, but I've been told that if you can program Universal, this is very intuitive and user-friendly. You know, I recommend creating a login on our website, maybe downloading the software and just playing around with it yourself. I've programmed a few basic jobs myself. It's not that complicated. It's mostly a drag and drop type of operation. And we can also get you in touch with some of our master third-party programmers that can assist you, especially with that first project. And then you could use that as a template for your future projects. However, you know, it's like beating a dead horse. I know, you know, if you're an AMX guy, if you're a Crestron guy, if you're a Control 4 guy, Elan RTI, URC, whatever the case might be, you're married to it. I get it. You know, maybe you don't want to retrain. I totally understand that. These, all our products are always designed to be plug and play with third-party manufacturers. So whatever your reference is, whatever control system you want to use, our IO ports will handle it. So on the 922 system, again, you get 3. So you think, well, why do I need 3 if I only have one TV that this is sitting next to? Well, the other one can be used for control, lighting, security, you name it. Whatever control you need, this system is giving you essentially, the more units you get, the more control ports you get. So you're getting a mini master controller built into it. And as you can see, it's also an open source API. So the coding behind it, you may call our tech line and say, hey, I use RTI. I'm not seeing a module for that. First of all, we have a database for pretty much any control in the market, and we can provide you guys those modules. If you don't see it, then the coding behind it is very simple. It's this SPO, XX, SL, YY type of programming. So basically, it's a 2 variable input output kind of thing, and it'll get it working for you. Okay, this is just highlighting also that using, a lot of people actually underutilize our control ports. So I'm giving you an example here of lighting. If you look in the middle, you have lighting, you have control of the audio, you have control of the security panel, you have control of the thermostat. All of this is resting on our AV over IP system. So very powerful, especially when you go with the 922. Another really interesting feature we've had is, again, this goes to upgrading your systems. I have 1080 TVs in the system. Now I want to add some 4Ks. Can we do that? Yes. This can downscale per decoder. So if you have some old 1080s in there, or for some reason you want to mix and match between 1080 and 4K, this thing can handle it, no problem. Okay. So we've been working on pre-configured kits. First of all, let me just stop here and see if there's any questions, guys. I know I'm talking a lot.
Oh, man, so with coming in, we should be good.
Okay. Everyone's still there? Everyone's still drinking coffee? Okay. All right. I'm counting on Jonathan and Chris to monitor the chat because I have my full window here open. But, please don't be shy about interrupting me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you guys have. So what we're now doing at Key Digital is we have AV over IP kits. The most popular one is the VW 4x4 Pro 4K kit. Okay, what you see is what you get. It's going to come pre-configured. It's going to come with the network switch. If you want to specify a different network switch with that, it's no problem. We could do that as well. It's going to come with that SMS16 rack mount kit. Rack mount unit. So this is basically what you're going to get. This unit right here, this kit, you take it right out of the box, you put it on the rack. Each encoder and decoder goes to its source and display, and you're basically done. It doesn't get any easier than that. And I think one of the thinking we had behind it is, especially with the case of capital sales, these things, they move like hotcakes. So, it's always recommended that you put a few in stock to have for the dealers. The 4x4 configuration we found through our experience has been the most popular configuration on video walls in general. And again, 4x4 is a little different than what it was back in the day when we were just doing matrix switchers. This is 4 input, 4 output, but for a video wall, this would be a 2x2 video wall. If you guys want to go bigger than this, we can customize any kind of kit for you. So we can go as small as a 1x2. That's the smallest practical one, all the way in the hundreds. Just keep that in mind. And if you need pricing on that, we're happy to help you out with the pricing on that as well. okay? But the 4x4 in particular is 100% KD app ready. When we were looking at the bigger video wall, we were talking about how these units can rotate the image on the screen. 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 120 degrees. Take a look at some of the typical commercial displays out there. Many of them are designed to have holders on the bottom of the TV, or the bezel is a little bit thicker on the bottom of it. With the AV over IP system, you can flip it 180 degrees. So if you look at the image on the right, you'll see that the thicker bezel is rotated so that the image itself is basically rotated on the top, but from the perspective of the end user, it doesn't really matter. Part of the video scaling we do as well is we're able to do a bezel adjustment on it, so that you know, if you do have a video wall that's using slightly thicker bezels, you can compensate for that with our KD-MS Pro software. You know, or if you rotate it, you can scale it, you could do anything you want with it. You can actually customize it as well. But as you can see with these two images, we're doing a bezel adjust on it. Okay, we're gonna dive into the 1022. So looking at this, this is our full lineup of AV over IP. I know the title of this presentation is 4K, but just for the record, we do have the 1080s as well, the TX-RX, if you're looking for a very reasonably priced job. The 1080 system will not do video walls, it will be just a matrix switcher. But going to the other end of the spectrum, the 1022, this one is gonna do independent audio video, like I mentioned before. This one will also do mosaic. We've had a few jobs come in, you know, very interesting looking mosaic displays. I'll show you some slides of it later. So non-typical, non-linear type of video walls. Also, you see those big, you know, like on buildings, for example. A lot of modern buildings will use wraparound TVs, or will use various types of display sources to create mosaic type of video function. So, hey, listen, if you could land that job in downtown Minneapolis, you know, I've been to Minneapolis a few times myself. Those buildings, it's a beautiful city, don't get me wrong. And I'm from New York. New York's a little old school with its buildings too. But if you look at some of the international cities out there, they love employing mosaics on their buildings. So that's a fat, nice job. You know, if anyone could get that and put it on the buildings, the backbone of it can easily rest on our AV over IP. And I'll give you some of our big clients that utilized very massive systems with these things, so you could see what I'm talking about. Okay.
One thing, Leon, can you go back real quick to that slide? I just want to point out two things. One thing that we do get asked here a lot of times through Capital is, can you mix and match the 1080p and the 4K encoders, decoders? And that is a hard no.
That's a no.
That is a no. So if you're going to go 4K anywhere, you have to go 4K all around. The other thing is that if anybody's been doing AV over IP from Key Digital for a while, you may have caught the video wall size of the KD-IP1022s. It used to be a 2x2, and now it's up to a 16x16. So it actually, one thing that even caught my eye, which is really cool to see, that that ability has moved up.
Yes, thank you. And just a general rule here in terms of what can I mix and match. Don't mix and match anything that has 4 numbers, okay? So if it's a 1022 or a 1080, those have 4 numbers. Those have to stand alone. But the 3 numbered units, the 922 and 822, can be mixed and matched. So why would you do that? For example, let's say you have 8 sources, 8 displays, and then you have 1 AV receiver. So you need just 1 more IO port out of the system. Instead of getting a whole new matrix switcher, maybe you want to specify 1 922 encoder, and the other 15 units would be 822s, for example. Whatever you guys, you can imagine. But the 922 and 822 can be mixed and matched. Do not mix and match the 1080 on the two far right and left-hand corners. Don't mix and match those. The 1080s cannot go into a 4K system, and the 1022 cannot go into the 922, 822 system. So that's the general rule. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. And by the way, I gotta say another thing here. Yes, we do still sell and support the 1080 system, but to be honest with you, more and more we're seeing a shift into 4K on a very significant level. So yes, we are supporting the 1080, and there's definitely still commercial applications for that, especially on the bigger jobs like airports or something where they don't really need high res picture quality if they're just displaying, let's say, times for the airplanes to come and go, things like that. But so there is a need for it. But generally speaking, I'd say 90-95% have been living in the 4K area now. Okay. So what I want to talk about here now is the both the independent audio video switching and the mosaics. Just to highlight, our system design group shows you here that, for example, out of PC5, we're going independent audio. What's a good example of this? Let's say you're in a sports bar and there's 16 different games going, and I'm hoping this will happen soon because I miss those environments myself. But typically I'm in Minneapolis, right? So I want to highlight the Twins game that day or the Vikings game, and sure, the Jets and Giants will be on the background there, but the audio side will be the home team's audio. Or maybe they just want to play music while putting on all the football games. So, you typically can understand why independent audio and video can be very important. Mosaics. I'm a big fan of this. I just did a big job with somebody in Los Angeles on this. It was a big corporate lobby. These are non-symmetric displays, and again, you can control these. So when you typically walk into a trade show, you see one static image. But sometimes different trade show organizations, for example, will want to change up their logos, change up their content, whether it's Infocom or Cydia or whatever the case might be. You have full control, and the 1022 system will give us the ability to do mosaic video walls. These are great jobs, if you get them. They're fantastic, and we love to assist with these. These are usually also the most beautiful jobs we get. So we love them, and we hope you guys can get them. We're there to support that. Okay, this is one of the corporate lobbies we've done. You can imagine different patterns going here. It's very sexy, good looking type of imagery that you could put on the mosaic video wall. So these things are really cool when you get them. And I think we have some videos of these on our website if you want to check it out. So this one, I think, sits in, if I'm not mistaken, Atlanta International Airport. I think Delta picked up their command center using our AV over IP there. We've worked with city, state, federal governments on these projects. Actually, I don't know if Dwayne's on this, but I remember we took a trip out to New Hampshire wiring these things. These are awesome projects, especially when you think about what they do. I've assisted a county in North Carolina to do a mobile command center using this system. Just picture a big truck with key people in there, the police department, the fire department, the ambulance, the mayor's office, etc., all in a mobile truck for a smaller county or city. that can go out there and communicate and see information from whatever department they need. That's all backboned off of our AV over IP system. I've seen kitchen shows do this. I've seen, I mean, the sky's the limit. I've seen so many different applications with these things. You can even inter-network conference rooms with these. So whatever you put into conference rooms, if you want multiple conference rooms to be kind of merged together using an overarching AV over IP system, you can do it with these systems as well. Classrooms, hospitals. We're working on finalizing now with a courthouse. We're doing virtual telecom using our AV over IP system. So, I invite you always to contact either the sales or tech support team, especially in a vertical market, and we can customize solutions for you guys. That's what we're really well known for. A lot of times people come to us and there hasn't been a solution out there yet. We'll customize it. We'll get you a system design on it. We'll help you from start to finish on it. So that's what we're at our heart truly known for. These are some of the new mosaics. Again, sometimes you want to have a curvy wall. That's been very popular now. Sometimes you want to curve it around the buildings. This is all on our 1022 system. NASTEC Middle East runs off of our AV over IP system. Our international sales guy isn't on today, but we're super excited. I think this system's been working nonstop for the last 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's a true workhorse. Wherever you need multiple sources to multiple displays in any kind of configuration, that's going to be Key Digital AV over IP. Trusted by all the big players out there. So when you have a big client come in and they ask for a different company by brand name, we have testimonials from huge clients out there that use our system. I don't know if you guys are familiar with New York. We have the Hudson Yards project we did here. That is one of our newest developments. I think it was the most expensive development in North America. I don't know the exact number. I think they spent, not on the AV over IP, but overall on that project, I want to say $4 or $5 billion, something like that. So trusted by all the key developers out there. If you need a testimonial, if you land that big client, whether it's a school, a courthouse, or a hospital, and you need to talk to us about whether or not we have experience, or in this case, in the financial industry, we have the experience, we have the testimonials, we have the happy clients all over the world using our AV over IP system. So please just ask myself or any one of our other sales team members. I know Scott Craig is on the phone here today. Any one of these guys, including myself, will be more than happy to guide you in the right direction, give you advice, give you a system design. We're also will be happy to interface with your end user to come in as the manufacturer expert to answer any questions that they may have. We're a very friendly bunch, so please feel free to reach out to us, or Jonathan Ferry. His business card is not here, but he is the guru. We call him the key to Key Digital. All the big designs always stay and play with Jonathan as well. So if you need to reach out to Tech or Jonathan, please feel free to do so. And with that, I'll open it up to questions, or if you guys want me to go back, or if I lost everyone, I get it, but please feel free to ask the questions, or if not, then I think we still have a few minutes.
Thanks, Leon. Right this second, we don't have any questions yet. If you guys do have questions, just throw them in the questions box. We'll take as much time as we need to answer them. And we all understand, as soon as we get off the phone, a question's going to roll in. It happens to everybody. We're all here to chat with you. We'd love to hear from you. Reach out to Key Digital. All the contacts right there on the screen. Jonathan, the support team at Key Digital. Anybody at Capital Sales, your account manager, myself, we all love to chat with you. So if you need info, just give us a call. But we're going to hang out for a little longer if there is any more questions. And both Leon, Jonathan, I want to thank you guys for hopping on too, you know, and everybody else that's taking time out of their day.
Well, thank you, guys. The questions, please feel free to email any one of us, and especially if you need designs. Oftentimes I'll get questions like, hey, you know, I'm talking to a school. Can you give me some of the designs you've done for that? No problem. Okay, no problem. Anything you need, any kind of vertical, even if you think it's unattainable, you think, oh my God, you know, we've never done a massive cathedral or house of worship. We've never done a courthouse. Look, if you got the end user, if you got the customer, we'll assist with the design on that, and we'll come in and we'll be on the back end to do whatever it takes to get the sale and get the customer happy as well.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add, Leon, this is Jonathan, that you know, what we showed early on, you know, I know there's a lot of slides, but it's real important to make sure that some headlines don't get buried, as they say. And, you know, we, again, have been doing AV over IP for actually over 6 years, because the IP1080s came out as our first model. And we went through the learning curve, just like so many people who, you know, adapted to AV over IP over time. And that's what led us to the conclusion that really the best way to do this is for us to pre-configure. And not only is it pre-configured, it's also tested. So it basically gives you a 99.9% guarantee that you're not going to have any RMA issues with units. You purchase that network switch, say D-Link from Capital Sales, you could even have that shipped to us so that we can configure that unit for you and verify that that's working as it should. And we age test it for up to 2 weeks if we have that time. If we don't have that time, that's okay. We test it with a high pressure testing for as long as we can after it's all configured. So it's really just plugging it in to the network switch, plugging in the power, and hitting go. Basically, it's turning that key, and this is huge because, I mean, just from the technical perspective, AV over IP is so fantastic and such, as you said, Leon, so well before that. It's revolutionized the way AV is done, but that decentralization of, instead of one matrix having, you know, 60 endpoints, you really, instead, the downside of that for the people that have done it is having to configure all 60 of those endpoints one by one instead of just configuring one matrix. So that's why we're doing this, because even if you're an expert in it, you could still make a mistake, and that could manifest itself as a problem that is hard to pin down remotely and all these things. And so we're in this together. And it should be noted that Capital Sales could tell you, you know, we never increased the price point once we said we're going to do all the configuration ourselves. It wasn't for that purpose. It was strictly so that you, the integrator, have the best possible experience. The end user themselves has the best possible experience with the system. And there's just, yeah, I guess that's kind of all I'll say about that at this time without rambling on too much. But Leon, good job. Chris, thanks for having us. To all the folks at Capital Sales, thank you very much. And to all of the integrators joining through Capital Sales, we appreciate everybody's support here today. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.